Hello, and welcome to today's presentation. We're here today to talk about everything you need to know to be prepared for fall quarter. Over the last 2 weeks, we've given a presentation that walks you through the steps of financial clearance and one about everything you need to know about living in the residence halls. If you missed out on one of those or want to review some information, you can find recordings of those at WallaWallaULIVE.edu/workshops. These presentations are designed to help you and your student feel prepared and ready to start your college adventure at Walla Walla University. We believe that God has big plans for you, and if WWU is a part of those plans, we want to do everything we can to help you feel prepared before arriving on campus. My name is Trevor Congleton, and I'm the Associate Vice President for Marketing and Enrollment Services. I'm here to introduce our subject experts and help answer any questions you may have. At any time during this presentation, if you have a question, you can ask it by typing it in the chat box. At the end of the presentation, we will answer all of your questions. This presentation should take us about 30 minutes. If you'd like to download the slides that we'll be covering in this presentation, you can download them through the link in the panel on the right side of your screen. Today, we have several subject experts with us. We've got Kristen Taylor, Director of Residential Life and Housing, who is here to talk about the residence halls. Doug Taylor, Associate Director of Student Financial Services, is here to talk about finances and student employment. And as always, Melissa Ray, Associate Director for Recruitment, is here with us to cover the rest and make sure that our panel covers the questions she hears most often from new students. Okay, take it away, Melissa.
Let's get started by talking about myWWU. You've probably already had some interaction with this, but it's very important, so I want to make sure everyone is on the same page. myWWU is our online student portal. This is where you can see your class schedule, your account balance, information about financial aid, account transactions, your grades, how much you've spent at the cafeteria, the express, etc. This is also where you begin the financial clearance process and where you finalize registration during JumpStart. So right now, the most important thing is for you to watch your to-do list. And you can access this list in myWWU, and it notes the things that you have left to do before the year begins. You can click on each item for more information, and there's usually instructions for how to complete the task, as well as a contact person if you have questions. As soon as you were accepted, you received login instructions for myWWU, and you were asked to choose a password. If you never logged in before, you'll find it's easy. For most of you, your username will be firstname.lastname, and whatever password you chose. If you do have problems logging in, never created a password, or can't remember the password you picked, you can contact computer support by phone or email. When you send them an email, include your name, your Walla Walla University ID number, and your phone number in case they need to call you. Now, parents, computer support will only talk to the student about their account info, so if they need assistance, they need to make sure that they're the ones to call. All students are given a WallaWalla.edu email address, and it's important that you check this regularly. Once classes begin, this is the only email address the university will send email to. One thing you might be seeing on your to-do list right now is financial clearance. Doug, can you recap a little bit about what financial clearance is and what families should be working on right now in terms of finances?
If you haven't finished your financial aid application, you should do that immediately. Right now, we're able to respond to you with an award letter within a couple days of you submitting the last piece of paper. But as we get closer to school starting, the delay is going to increase. If we are missing anything from you for this process, it is going to be on the to-do list that Melissa just mentioned. If you have questions about financial clearance, I recommend that you watch the recording of the presentation we did a couple weeks ago about this process. We cover everything in detail there. But to quickly review, financial clearance is a process that all students go through each quarter. It checks to make sure that you've made your down payment, that you've completed any of the necessary forms for your financial aid. The process is open right now for fall quarter, so if you haven't completed it yet, now is a good time to do it. It's a pretty straightforward process, shouldn't take you too much time. The first time it will take you a little bit longer because most students do have some loan forms to complete, some permissions to review, but after you make your down payment, it's about a 90-second process. The deadline to complete financial clearance is 4 p.m. on the Wednesday before classes begin. If you have not completed financial clearance by then, you will be dropped from your classes. Now, you can always register for classes again, but the class you may have wanted, it could have been filled from the wait list in the meantime. You can know for sure that you're done with financial clearance when you see Bouncing Ben. So when you see him, you know that you're finished with the financial clearance and that your classes are protected from dropping. Once you're registered for classes and have completed financial clearance, you can get your ID card starting in September in the Academic Records Office. So if you live in the Valley, you're welcome to stop by the Academic Records Office to complete this step. Most freshmen aren't going to do this until the week of JumpStart. You will need proof of identity, like a driver's license, in order to get your ID card. And then once your ID card is activated, which is going to happen after you've completed registration finalization, then you can use it to charge meals in the cafeteria, charge books at the university bookstore. You can get treats down at the Express. That's a small mini mart and gas station here on campus. And then you can also use your ID card to access the dorm rooms and buildings that you have access to, like the gym and the library. And it's also great for getting student discounts at places around town.
Something else you might be seeing on your to-do list, and something you can be working on right now, is an immunization history form and a TB screening form. The immunization history form requires 2 parts: a record that you've received the required vaccinations and a complete immunization history. You must have received a Tdap immunization less than 10 years ago, and you must be immunized for MMR. We also recommend that students living in the residence hall receive a vaccine for meningitis. A complete physical is not required, but it's definitely recommended for new students. You may be able to take care of your immunizations and TB screening at the same time as your physical if you plan ahead. Having the full immunization history on file with us can come in handy if you decide to go on a short or long-term mission trip, choose to study abroad, or in a health-related major such as nursing. In addition to the immunization history form, all new students and students who have spent time outside of the United States or Canada during the past year will need to fill out the TB form. The form consists of 6 questions and has step-by-step instructions. We encourage students who are identified by the screening as needing further evaluation to be seen by their primary care provider and have their form completed prior to coming to WallaWalla University. If you will be less than 18 years old when you arrive at WWU, it's important for your parent or guardian to sign the pre-authorization allowing students to be seen in our clinic. This form can be found at wallawalla.edu/health. Students are required to have health insurance. This is a federal law. WallaWalla University does not offer a health insurance policy for students to purchase. There are some resources and links, though, in the health exchange available on our website. You will want to make sure all of your health insurance covers providers within 25 miles of Walla Walla or whichever campus you'll be on. On campus, our university clinic has a half-time nurse practitioner and a full-time RN who provide treatment and advice for illnesses and injuries, preventative care such as physicals and immunizations, and follow-up on stable chronic issues that are treated by the student's regular physician. Our staff is also happy to meet with students and groups who will be traveling internationally and give advice on travel safety, needed immunizations, and first aid supplies to take along. In the clinic, we can perform quick tests like strep or urine testing. If blood tests are required, we draw blood here and we take it to Providence Medical Center laboratory for testing. If you need to be seen in the clinic, appointments are available, but walk-ins are always welcome. Right now, many students may be thinking about finding a job on campus. Doug, can you tell us a bit more about what a student should do to find a job?
Many students don't get a job until they arrive for JumpStart, so don't panic if you don't have a job yet. Many employers want to see your class schedule. They also want to see the class schedule of returning students before they commit to new hires. But there are a few things that you can do now to be getting ready. First off, if you haven't already done it, complete an online job application. So that's the first step for any on-campus job, and the same application can be used for any job on campus that you find. So you don't have to complete a new application for each job on campus. Second thing I recommend you do is watch our job scene. That's our online job listing, and it just lists all the available jobs on campus as well as off campus. So if you see any that are interesting to you, contact the department, let them know that you're interested. You can also contact our office and have us forward a copy of the application that you've already filled out. Once you have a job, there will be some paperwork that you're required to complete. So first off, students have to complete what's called the I-9 form. And this is a federal form that's used to confirm your identity as well as your eligibility to work. So when you're packing to come to the university, make sure you have some form of ID, like a driver's license. You're also going to need a document that proves you're eligible to work. So this could be a birth certificate or a social security card. If you have a valid U.S. passport, that can meet both of those requirements. So it could prove identity as well as authorization to work. And we also have to have original documents. We cannot use photocopies. Another form that you're going to complete is called the W-4 form. That tells us how many exemptions you're claiming for tax purposes. You're also going to need to provide us with your bank information. We require either a voided check or a screen print of your bank account information. So your bank account number and the routing number, and you can often get that from an online banking profile. So that we cannot just take the numbers scribbled down on a sheet of paper. And as Melissa mentioned about if you're going to be under 18, that also affects employment, that we do have to have parent permission authorizing you to work if you're going to be under 18 when you start working. But you can find out details about working on campus at the university's website, wallawalla.edu/student-employment. You may notice on the job scene that some jobs are listed as work-study jobs. So the university participates in 2 work-study programs. One is offered by the federal government and one is offered by the state of Washington. Only students with a work-study award in their financial aid package are eligible for these jobs. For the Washington State Work-Study Program, you must be a Washington State resident in order to apply for those jobs. In a work-study job, the employer receives funds from the government to help pay your wages, and so this helps expand the number of jobs that are available. But here on campus, our jobs are open to all students. You do not have to have a work-study award in order to work on campus. That work-study eligibility is only for those off-campus jobs that are listed as a work-study job. Students are paid every other week. So the first time you get paid or anytime you change your bank account information, though, your wages are going to be applied to your student account. And that's because the payroll system sends a test message to your bank to confirm the bank account information. But then every payday after that, your paycheck is going to be automatically deposited into your bank account. Now that first paycheck, if you want to get some of that money off of your account, we can work with you on that. Also, some students like to have some or all of their paycheck applied to their student account all the time, and you're certainly welcome to do that. We've got forms in our office we can have you fill out for that payroll deduction.
While we're talking about student wages, Doug, can you remind us about Bank Mobile and how students interact with it?
Bank Mobile is the bank we use to disperse funds from the student account. So after you go through the financial clearance process, you are going to get a green envelope from Bank Mobile. You'll also get some email reminders, and they're going to be asking you to set up your disbursement preference. They want to know if you want your disbursement sent as a paper check, deposited into an existing bank account, or if you want to open a Bank Mobile Vibe checking account. And we recommend that you choose to have the deposit go into an existing bank account. So an example of when you would request a disbursement might be when that first paycheck has been applied to your student account. If you want that money in your own bank account instead, you can request those funds, and then they're going to be dispersed to you through whatever Bank Mobile process that you have chosen.
Now, Kristen, would you tell us about JumpStart and when students can move into the residence halls? Last week, we gave a presentation about residential housing. So if you have more questions about housing after this, I recommend that you watch the recording at wallawalla.edu/workshops.
JumpStart is a required week of orientation for all new freshmen. During this week, students get a chance to worship together, to get to know each other, attend helpful presentations, and take care of tasks such as financial clearance, lining up a job, and meeting with their academic advisors. You can register for JumpStart at WallaWallaULIVE/JumpStart. The fee for JumpStart includes all of your meals and lodging for the week, as well as a guidebook for the week for a 1-hour college credit. All students should bring a mobile device like a smartphone, an iPad, or a laptop for use during the session you'll be attending. Students who are attending JumpStart can start moving into the residence halls at 8 a.m. on Sunday morning. We will be set up to issue an ID card in the lobby of Sittner Hall and Foreman Hall, so you can take care of that while you're moving in. And at 11:30, we will hold a welcome assembly for parents and students at the University Church, along with a free luncheon afterwards. Offices around campus will be open to assist you and your parents in checking off the last few items on your to-do lists. The bookstore will be open, but we recommend students wait until after they've met with their academic advisor to purchase their books. Later, during JumpStart Week, the bookstore will hold a special event for freshmen to purchase their textbooks. If you need to move into the residence halls earlier than Sunday, you'll need to call ahead and make special arrangements. We discourage moving in early because the cafeteria is not open until JumpStart begins. If you haven't made housing arrangements and you're planning to be in the residence hall, you should fill out the room reservation application online. Of course, you'll have to be accepted and have paid the enrollment fee before we can assign you a roommate and a room. If you're not going to be living in the residence halls, you will need to complete a village housing approval form that tells us where you're going to be living during the financial clearance process. As a general rule, we expect our incoming freshmen to live in the residence halls unless they meet one of those exceptions listed on the screen. If you're eligible to live outside of the residence hall and have not applied for housing, please complete an online application at wallawalla.edu/village. Last week, I also talked about how parents can be aware of emergencies that may have come up on campus. All of our students are automatically enrolled in the emergency alert system. In an emergency, students will receive alerts via text messages and emails, and in addition, our campus siren will sound. Parents are able to opt in to also receive these alerts by providing their contact info online. They will receive the same messages as our students.
Most of our incoming freshmen and transfer students are already registered for classes and can see their class schedules in myWWU. If you're not yet signed up for classes, give academic advisement a call. If you've signed up for classes but they aren't showing up in myWWU, make sure that you've paid your enrollment fee. And if you've paid that fee but still aren't seeing your classes, give academic advisement a call and we'll work it out with you. If you want to make changes to your class schedule, you can call the academic advising office, or you can wait until JumpStart Week when you meet with your academic advisor. That's a great time to discuss changes. And all students are assigned an advisor. If you're attending JumpStart, we've already set up an appointment for you to meet with them during that week. Mentors are another great resource for our students. We have a mentoring program that focuses on individualized support and encouragement as students transition from high school to college. Mentors assist in helping students take ownership and responsibility for their college education and career goals. Mentors are trained to provide curriculum that encourages a balanced experience in academics, spiritual life, and social life. You get to choose your mentor during JumpStart, and during the rest of your freshman year, you meet weekly to talk about how your classes are going, deadlines that are coming up, what your academic goals are, and what campus or community resources might be beneficial to your success. Students who have gone through this program tell us that having a mentor helps them feel connected and supported. We've found that freshmen who meet regularly with a mentor are more likely to stay in college. They get more out of their classes and they have a better college experience overall. Also during JumpStart Week, you'll go through a process called registration finalization. This is a final review process that you access on myWWU, and it ensures that you've done everything needed to become a student at Walla Walla University. This process checks to make sure you've completed financial clearance, done the necessary paperwork with the university clinic, been assigned to classes, and met with your advisor. When you've completed this process, you'll see Jumping Einstein. This indicates that you've finalized your enrollment and your ID card is now electronically validated for charging. This also means you'll be able to sign up for clubs. You won't be able to see Jumping Einstein on Sunday, that first day of JumpStart. That's because JumpStart is a transition period. You're now starting to take responsibility and your parents will no longer be taking care of everything. During JumpStart week, after you've met with your advisor and completed any remaining items on the to-do list, you'll be able to finalize registration and see Jumping Einstein on your own.
After JumpStart is over, we move into the school year. Parents often want to know information about their student, usually what their account balance is and what their grades are. However, the university cannot share this kind of information with anyone except you, the student. There's a federal law called the Family Educational Rights and Privacy Act, which is most commonly known as FERPA. This federal law applies to a student starting on the first day of classes. So through Sunday, prior to the first day of classes, we can talk to parents. However, once classes start, we have to have the student's permission. Of course, we're going to be very careful what kind of information we share prior to classes starting. FERPA applies to all areas of campus, but it's with finances that most parents run into this issue. We need to have the student's permission before we talk to the parent about the student's account. We also want to have your permission before we mail a paper statement to your parent. And it's easy for you to grant permission. On myWWU, you can tell us who we can talk to, who we should mail a statement to, who we can send email reminders to. We also like you to tell us who we should not talk to. Just adds another layer of security there if there's somebody you don't want us to talk to. And you can choose to have statements mailed to multiple people. You can authorize people to see electronic statements. FERPA is also why your parents cannot call to reset your password. Because of FERPA, computer support can only reset the password if the student contacts them. Parents, if you want to see your students' grades, you're going to have to get them from the student. We don't even mail grade reports to the student. It's all online, and so students, you can see those grades on myWWU as soon as the teacher has submitted the grade. You get to see grades at the same time we can see grades.
That's just about all the topics we've planned to cover today. We have a complete list of steps to enrollment that you can follow to make sure you've done everything you need to, and the list can be found at wallawalla.edu/new steps. This list will give you the instructions for how to complete each step, and if you ever have any questions, you can call our office and we're happy to help you out. Don't forget to check out the to-do list in myWWU. Okay, Trevor, I think we're ready to take some questions.
Thank you, Kristen, Doug, and Melissa. Just a reminder, we're going to get to the question portion in just a minute. So if you have any questions you would like to ask, make sure you are putting them into the chat box so we can answer them before the presentation ends. Before we get there, I think we should probably talk about a couple of important dates that everybody should keep in mind. As Kristen mentioned, the residence halls open on Sunday, September 16 for those that are coming for JumpStart. For your convenience, we'll be making ID cards in foreman and Sittner lobbies on Sunday. Students can also register their cars in the residence hall lobbies that Sunday. JumpStart also begins on September 16. This is an important week of orientation for new students, and all incoming freshmen are required to attend. By Wednesday, September 19, you should have paid your down payment, completed any necessary paperwork for student loans, and have signed your financial clearance online. Student Financial Services has already sent you an email on what you need to do. These emails went primarily to the students, so if any of you are parents out there watching, make sure you are checking with them to see what emails they have received. We also gave a presentation 2 weeks ago walking you through the process of financial clearance, and a recording of that presentation is available at wallawalla.edu/workshops. On Thursday, September 20, transfer students have an orientation that starts at 9 a.m. By Sunday, September 23, you should have completed your registration finalization, seen Jumping Einstein, and purchased textbooks. That night is our annual Welcome Back Bash, where students have an opportunity to learn about and join campus clubs. And then on September 24th, you begin your college education at Walla Walla University. On the screen now, we have some phone numbers that you might find helpful if you have any questions after this presentation. All right, let's move to the question portion. So let's see. The first one is, you mentioned we can use our ID cards at the Express. What is the Express, and is it connected to our meal plan or flex dollars? Doug, do you want to take that?
Sure. The Express is a Shell station and mini mart that's owned by Walla Walla University, and it's right on the edge of campus. You can use your ID card to charge down there. You can spend up to $80 a month on your ID card. Whatever you spend then goes onto your student account. There's no minimum. So if you don't use your ID card at the Express, nothing shows up on your account. But you can use your ID card at the gas pumps. You can buy snack food. You can order something from the vegetarian grill, great grill down there. You cannot use your meal plan or flex dollars at the Express, but you can see a total of your spending on myWWU.
Quick recommendation, if you go to the DX, is make sure you get a Yogi burger. They are delicious and a personal favorite of mine. All right, let's go to the next question. Kristen, would you be willing to answer this one? Do I have to have a mentor?
Yes, all new students, including transfer students, need a mentor. Our studies have shown that having a mentor improves your success at WWU and helps you find your footing in our community as well.
Great. Thanks, Kristen. Let's see. Here's another one. I'm from Canada. Can I work on campus?
Yes, as long as you have a student visa, you can work on campus. If you're not a U.S. resident, you cannot work off campus. And if you're a married student, so you've got a spouse or children, they cannot work at all if you just have a student visa, unless they are a citizen in their own right.
All right, great. Thanks, Doug. Let's see. Here's another one. Can students get their immunizations at the university clinic?
You wanting me to take that one?
Yeah, go ahead, Doug.
Okay. They can. There may be a charge for those, but it's probably best if you can get your immunizations while you're at home. Go to a doctor that's a preferred provider for your insurance company, and then it's usually free for you.
Great. Thanks, Doug. It looks like we've got about 3 questions left, so I'd encourage you, if you have any remaining questions, to make sure you put it into the chat box. Let's go with the first one. When we arrive on campus, where should we report to first?
I would say usually that would be the residence hall if you're living there. However, check your time frame. So depending on when you're arriving, so if you're coming on the Sunday and it's close to when we're going to start the president's luncheon or the welcome, some of those things, you'll want to head there directly. But usually I would say the residence hall is a good way to start.
Yeah, I agree totally. I think it's a great place. And there also will be a number of tents around campus, one in front of the Student Financial Services building, which is directly behind the church, and one that will be located on 4th Street, which if you have any questions, you can stop and ask. We can give you directions. We'll have a lot of friendly faces out there during that time. And
offices are going to be open before the welcome. And
the president's welcome.
So 10 to 11:30. Then they're closed during that luncheon, during that president's welcome. Mm-hmm. Then they open up again from 2 to 4.
Yep. So make sure you are there for that. Let's see. We'll go to the next question. How can you make an educated choice when choosing a mentor? I know that what they'll have is a mentor dinner, I believe, during JumpStart. Or at least they used to. Do they still have that, Doug?
Still do.
They still have it. Okay.
Yes.
And during that time, they'll have all the mentors that will be present. They'll also supply little bios of each of the mentors.
Yeah, I remember seeing a chart that showed a picture of the mentors and a short bio for that. What you can also do, if you know somebody who was a freshman this past year, call them and get some advice. Although we've had a number of mentors changing, but if they had a good mentor, that can also be a good recommendation. Our mentors are pretty good, so you really can't go too far wrong.
Yeah, true story. Let's see. We got another question. How do we make arrangements to begin moving in early? Kristen, you want to take that?
Yeah, if you're hoping to move in early, we recommend that you email housing@wallawalla.edu, and we can connect you to the correct deans of housing. And then we'll get you on an early arrival list. We discourage early arrivals mostly because a lot of things on campus aren't quite going until we get to that Sunday. Sunday's really just where JumpStart starts and where things get flowing. So things like the cafeteria aren't open before that Sunday. So if you do end up coming early, just make sure that you get that in place so that we know, make sure to have that room ready for you. And then also, once we get to that Sunday, we can get your ID card and kind of do some of those things that, depending on when you arrive, wouldn't be available quite yet.
Great. Thank you, Kristen. Looks like the next question involves student employment. So I'll probably direct this one to Doug. After submitting the on-campus job application, will we receive an email determining if we have an offer?
No. After you submit the application, your next step is to look at the job scene. That's the list of open campus employment or open jobs on campus, and contact the departments that you're interested in working in. Also look at just our list of campus employers. If there's some areas that you're interested in working in, contact them. You can also contact the Student Employment Office and ask for your application to be forwarded to those departments that you're interested in. But each department makes their own decision on who they hire. As I mentioned, I think earlier sometime, that don't be worried that if you don't have your job lined up, because most freshmen, most transfer students are getting their job during that week of JumpStart or the first week of classes. That's when they're going out and visiting with departments. A lot of departments like to meet people face-to-face. As I mentioned, they want to see your class schedule. They want to see the class schedule for their continuing students to see where their needs are. And so you're going to be doing the actual job hunting. We don't assign you to a campus job.
All right, Doug, should they start looking for jobs right now on JobScene?
If you haven't completed the online application, do that first. But then, yes, do look at the job scene. The employers have been posting what openings they know they have. So now is a great time to be looking at those potential jobs.
Yeah, but you may lock one in before you come up for JumpStart,
Exactly.
which is kind of nice to have that before you arrive. But if you can't find it, you'll have opportunities during JumpStart to look as well. All right, next question is, how can students save money on textbooks? This is a good question. We actually get it quite a bit in the recruitment area. One of the things that I've appreciated is that the bookstore at the university is actually run by Barnes & Noble, which has given us a lot of options for e-textbooks, a lot of options for rentals for students. And so that's kind of designed to help kind of keep costs down for students. They also offer a book buyback that'll take place after the quarter ends, where they'll actually pay you back for the book so they can use it for another rental later on. The challenge thing is some students will want to go fully online and pick up all their books, maybe on Amazon or something like that. The challenge is that there's a lot of books that are like different editions, and that can get pretty confusing when you're trying to find the exact perfect one. So I always recommend students usually start out looking at the bookstore. If they see a book there that they want to try to get somewhere else, just they can like take a picture of it and make sure that it's the correct edition that they're going to need.
Another thing students do to save money is at the university app, the WallaWalla app, other students post textbooks that they are selling. So if you can find one, but like Trevor said, be sure you check to make sure the edition is correct, that they haven't updated the edition from the last school year. So you want to make sure that's correct.
And that's from personal experience where I bought one that was the wrong edition as a student, and they moved to the new one, and my syllabus that told me what to be reading was all wrong. So that was not good.
Did you mention used books at the bookstore?
Yeah, rentals and used books.
Yeah. But you've got to be there fast for those because they go quickly.
Yeah, they're usually the top pick for students. The nice thing, though, is for you in JumpStart, you'll be here a little bit earlier for all the other students. So you can hopefully get a lot of those ones. All right, looks like we have one question left. So if you have any ones you'd like us to get to, make sure you submit it here in the next couple seconds. Otherwise, we'll finish it. All right, the next one is, can you use a Barnes & Noble gift card at the bookstore? That's a good question.
I would assume so, because it's a Barnes & Noble store.
Yeah, and they even have bargain books like they do at Barnes & Noble. So I think you can use that.
I have used one there.
You have used it?
Yeah.
Oh, perfect, Kristen.
So it worked great.
Great. I got another one. If I live locally, where can I go to pick up my ID card early?
That would be at the Academic Records Office. They're in Canada Technology Center, third floor, room 311. Nobody knows their ID, the number. Just if you make it to the third floor, just walk down the hall until you see a sign that says Records Office or ID cards. But it's not. You can't get lost on that floor. It's a fairly simple floor.
And what do they need to have done before they can get their ID card, Doug?
The only thing they have to have done is be accepted and have proof of identity. So bring the driver's license. I don't think we require financial clearance first before they get their ID card.
Okay, great. We got another question. Where can we find which textbooks we need for the quarter?
Yes. I know online there is a place. Does anybody in the room know where online?
If you go to the bookstore website, you can actually type in your class and then it will pull up your roster as far as what type of books that you'll need. So it'll have what the assigned readings are or required readings, excuse me. And then also if there's any supplemental things that they recommend as well. So you can it'll have all the details. Now, the only thing is some professors may not quite have it up. And so if that's the case, you might have to wait just a little bit before they get what their required materials are on there. But I did that last quarter. I took a philosophy course and it was really easy to navigate.
Great. Thank you, Kristen. It's good information. All right. That looks like it concludes the questions that you guys had. So I just want to say thank you for watching this presentation. I hope it was helpful and that you feel prepared for starting fall quarter at Walla Walla University. If you missed our previous presentations, make sure you go and watch the recordings online at WallaWallaULIVE.edu/workshops. We'd also love to have your feedback about today's presentation. When we sign off, please take a moment to take a brief survey at WallaWalla.edu/comment, and that'll be in the chat box. We'd really like to know what you thought and how we can make this presentation better next time. If you think of something you forgot to ask, you can always give us a call at 800-541-8900 or email us at info@wallawalla.edu. Also, a big thank you to today's presenters. I really appreciated having you here, and thank you to all of our viewers. We look forward to you being a part of our family this fall quarter, and we're going to watch a quick video when this is done, and we hope you have a wonderful night.
Life is a story. It's a collection of people and places, moments and memories, ideas and spaces. All great stories must begin somewhere. Ours begins where the air is clear and where ideas, energy, and people do life together. Each chapter of our story is shaped by those we choose to do life with. Life in all its splendor. We find worship and wonder in the abundant beauty of the vibrant Pacific Northwest. And savor the warmth and energy of a small college town. This is our place, a place that fuels our search for answers to life's big questions. What do I believe? Where do I belong? Who will I become? Here, we discover and offer our gifts to the world, crossing hallways, states, and continents, with hearts and eyes tuned to the needs around us. Here, we celebrate the true, the beautiful, the divine. These are my people, and this is the place we gather. What's done together means more than what's done alone. Swerving, curving, scaling, soaring, exploring, performing, creating, innovating. Love and friendship here, sometimes unexpectedly. Here, we find ourselves known, seen, understood, welcomed. The belonging we yearn for, we freely give. Here, in the middle of nowhere, we find fellow travelers on the road to everywhere. This is life together. This is life.